Hello and a very warm welcome to Sports Scene here on CGTN. I'm Mahia Mutua. Welcome to the program that brings you all things African sport from the continent and beyond. Great to have you joining us once again. Let's check out what else is coming up on tonight's show. We'll bring you the moving story of pioneering former soldier Ahmed Naguib, who's making a splash in para-sport. And the flag football team in Abuja aiming to change the perceptions of people as well as help make the sport popular in Nigeria. Welcome to the program. Now, after having his leg amputated while in service, a young Egyptian military officer began looking for a sport that would suit his condition. Pursuing his dream of becoming a sporting champion, Ahmed Naguib went on to become his country's first para-canoe and para-kayak athlete. CGTN's Adel Mahroui brings us his moving story.
2 years ago, Ahmed Naguib had volunteered to fight terrorist groups in North Sinai. During his pursuit to make his country safer, a road bomb hit his armored vehicle. His legs got severely injured. One of them had to be amputated.
Before I got injured, I was a swimmer and a modern and military pentathlon athlete. After I got injured, my leg got amputated. I felt that I'd become crippled. I thought I'd never walk or move again. Then I realized that my thoughts were making me disabled and not my body. I started to go back to them. When I went for my first prosthetic limb, I found the sponsor for this company was a paddler. I thought, why not?
For a former professional athlete like Naguib, paddling for a hobby was not enough. He wanted to compete. Back then, the Egyptian Federation didn't offer any para-canoe or para-kayak programs. Stubborn as he appears to be, this young man didn't take no for an answer. He became the first para-kayak player in the Egyptian national team.
I went to the Egyptian Federation, but they gave me a conditional opportunity. They told me that I'd be their test for para-sports. If I did well, they'll expand. It was a big responsibility, and I trained really hard because I knew the fate of others like me depended on my success.
Naguib became a national success. After just 1 year of training, he ranked the 16th in the World Championships and the 2nd in Africa. He is now chasing bigger dreams.
I hope to become the first Egyptian to qualify to the Paralympics. I hope to go to Tokyo from the upcoming champions in Germany. The sport needs support. We need popularity and technical support. We need to go to training camps abroad to gain experience. There is no one else to learn the sport from.
Naguib's persistence to make the sports grow has made him quite popular among his national teammates. They're all putting their hands together to push paddling sports forward. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, New Alamein, Egypt.
Now, USA Rugby Sevens head coach Mike Friday returned to his own old stomping ground in Kenya this week as a guest of the country's Rugby Patron Society. Friday and former England women's rugby international Richard Burford held coaching clinics with local aspiring players. CGTN's Mohammed Abubakar now reports.
On this same field 7 years ago, Coach Mike Friday was conducting training sessions for the Kenya men's sevens team. This week, he was back in his old stomping ground, conducting a rugby clinic with the local age group teams in Nairobi. The now USA Sevens boss expressed his delight in coming back to the country he once led to their highest finish in the HSBC World Series, 5th, and his love for the East African nation has not diminished.
It's important that we continue to expose rugby, the values of the game, the spirit of the game, the fact that it's about teamwork, looking after your friends. It's about being positive and collaborative, which is so important not only in rugby but in life, because we have a responsibility with the game to allow people and help these young men and women to develop not only as players and enjoy the sport, but also in life, to understand what you need, what values you need to get by in life.
Fingers up, so you buy yourself. The young rugby players here could not contain their excitement after having a training session with the British tactician who departed Kenya as a national darling following his call of duty in 2013.
I'm so happy I got to be trained by Mike. This was the man who used to train our senior team in the past. These days, I only get to see him on TV, so I've really enjoyed having him here today.
There are some skills I hadn't perfected before today. His session today has helped me improve on the basic switch, holding and tackling. I've gained a lot and I'm thankful. I love this sport and I hope that more young boys can join this game.
Former England women's rugby legend Rachel Barford was also at hand to share a training session with the girls' team during the tour. With the women's game still in its infancy, Barford's proven track record and success has inspired the local girls to pursue their dream to play professional rugby.
We've had a really good session. We have all learnt a lot of skills, but most importantly, she has given us hope that with hard work we can go all the way and play for the national team, because that is our dream. I follow our ladies national team and I was so happy when they qualified for the Olympics next year. If they could make it, why can't I?
Friday and Barford hope that such programs that involve both training and mentoring sessions could also be taken up by the Kenya senior men and women players.
Being a senior player is to really nurture and look after those players. What you want to do, you want to be able to step away from the game knowing that you've given everything you can as a player, but also as a person and as a teammate, and to help those young players, because the faster you accelerate them on, all that's going to happen, the team's going to get stronger, women's rugby is going to get stronger, and then the platform will just grow.
The national players. I think there's a real opportunity to use the likes of not only Injera and Amonde, but also those guys that have fought up the hard way, like Nelson's or you of this world, to make them role models, to put them back out on programs where they need to understand what's required to operate and develop outside of rugby, because rugby on the world circuit will only last for so long. So I think there's an opportunity to create internship programs to allow them to develop and also inspire the next generation of Kenyan rugby players.
Mohamed Abubakar, CGTN, Nairobi.
You're watching Sports Scene here on CGTN. Coming up on the program. We roll off our new Spotlight segment with the greatest of all time in marathon running, Eliud Kipchoge.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Welcome to our new monthly segment, Spotlight, that brings the biggest names in African sport to your living room. Today, we kick off with Kenya's Olympic champion and world record holder Eliud Kipchoge. The man widely acknowledged as the marathon greatest of all time now takes us through his life away from the sport. I began by asking him how he's able to balance the spotlight and the humble man at home.
Actually, I treat life as simple as it is, and outside track, I'm just a family man who actually have a wife and children. I always kill time with them.
Any other passions, maybe away from running, maybe the things that you do when you want to calm down?
I like football. I like watching tennis. I like watching Formula One. I follow many sports.
What are some of the philosophies that drive Eliud Kipchoge? Maybe 2 or 3 philosophies that you truly believe in yourself.
I respect everybody, and I respect my career. I respect who is behind my success. That's the first thing. Second is that actually I believe in self-discipline. That's what drives me. And above all is that I love doing sport.
in Vienna, one of the most touching things was we got to see your wife Grace at the finishing line and your two children come and embrace you. Did that add more joy to the occasion for you when you were running and breaking this big barrier? Did that bring joy to you that your family was there to watch you live for the first time?
You know what's all in life is that you can have a busy schedule, you can run up and down, but in the evening you can go to your family. So what I'm trying to say is that all in all, family is important.
Okay.
Yes.
One thing that you've always mentioned, something that always seems to be of passion to you, is children and their development through sport. Where did that come from? The desire to pass on what you know, your desire, your passion to the younger generation?
I've been in sport for a long time, and I know one day it will end, and I don't want to end there. I want to pass the baton to the next generation, and that's what I am doing. I want to pass and teach young kids that running is a good sport, and above all, any sport actually is good because you can get freedom.
And we know that you're a passionate supporter of Tottenham Hotspur. Where did this come about? How often do you like watching them? What drew you to that club?
I was attracted by Tottenham through Pochettino. Pochettino is a good man, and in fact, is a human. He treats all his players in a human way. If you visit Tottenham, that when Pochettino was there, you can see really they are driven by values. Wanyama is there, our own is there. That's why I was more attracted again. Yes.
How are you able to balance now, your passion and now this new generation where almost everything is on social media?
When I was running for that 1 hour 59 minutes, 120,000 people were on track. But those who watched live through 200 stations were 500 million. And at the end of the day, those who watched were 1 billion people. By 8 o'clock, it was 1 billion. Yes. So it's live. I always enjoy. In fact, personally, I got, in that one day, I got 500,000 followers in Instagram, which was a big plus for me.
Maybe who are some of your favorite people to follow on either Twitter or Instagram?
I follow Hamilton. I follow Roger Federer. I follow Serena Williams. I follow Obama.
Was it true that you were the one who requested that people be there in Vienna? Because in Monza, it was closed track, nobody was there. But this time around, you could see all the crowds there cheering you on. Was it your request?
So Jim Ratcliffe says that I want everybody to come in the track. And it was a plus for me because I like being boosted by people cheering on.
I remember listening to your speech after Ineos, and even when you were here in Karura Forest, you kept mentioning, passing on the love for running. Is it for health reasons? Is it because, your love of the sport? Is it because, you want to see somebody come behind you and accomplish the same feats as yourself? Why is that?
Running actually is whereby you can get freedom. It's where freedom is. If you want to discover freedom, many people say you are free and you are freedom by going around. You are not free. When you are running, it's where freedom is. When you are running, it's where good ideas is running out of your mind. And above all is that elderwise running is good. You can, if you jog, then you have a good health. Our hearts is what drives our bodies, and you can actually feel that heart when you go to the gym or direct. But you can feel it when you run, when you jog, when you bike. That's the only way. And above all, when everybody is healthy, then we are all happy, and we have a happy nation.
Well, after that eye-opening and inspirational interview with Eliud Kipchoge, I'm pleased to be joined in our Nairobi studio by award-winning seasoned sports editor Elias Makori to discuss more on the distance running great. First, let me just begin by asking you generally, what exactly makes Eliud Kipchoge special?
I think his focus, his humility, and he sets targets for himself that he goes on to achieve. He's one person who is very, very humble, and he knows what to get, and that explains the longevity. He's been around for almost 20 years now, while other athletes are falling by the wayside. So he's consistent, and very, very focused athlete.
And what a year he's had, especially in 2019. But now, what exactly comes next for this man who's, you know, broken everything in the sport, broken barriers that people thought were not humanly possible?
Well, there's still a lot of challenges ahead for Eliud. For instance, he needs to be only the third person to defend his Olympic marathon title. That will be in Tokyo, which has now moved to Sapporo, 800 kilometers away from Tokyo, the men's marathon and the women's marathon. And also, he has the challenge of being the first person to win all the 6 majors. That is Tokyo, London, Berlin, Chicago, New York, and you know, the 6th one, which is escaping me, but the 6 majors. He's won. He's not won in Tokyo. He's not run in Tokyo. Boston is the 6th one. He's not run in Boston. So his challenge could be to try and perhaps run in Tokyo, run in Boston, and run in New York, and complete the 6 majors. And again, become the first person to break the 2-hour barrier in a normal marathon, because there have been a lot of criticism that the race in Vienna in October was tailor-made for him. Why can't he do it in a normal marathon where he has other competitors? So perhaps that is a challenge, but it will be a very tough call indeed.
Indeed. Now, obviously, you're no stranger to him. You've covered Eliud for many, many years. Maybe, Makori, tell us, what have you learned specifically yourself from the man?
The most important thing is humility. I mean, Eliud lives in a Spartan life in Kaptagat. It's like a dormitory, a high school dormitory. He has millions that could afford him the luxury of living in a 5-star hotel and training from there, but he prefers the Spartan life, you know, dormitory, fetching water from the well. I think that really inspired me because, I mean, there are a lot of so-called celebrities who have a lot less achievement than him, a lot less cash than him, but they, you know, drive around in 4-wheel drive SUVs. This is not Eliud. Eliud is very humble, very modest. He, you know, lies low, sets his targets and beats them. You know, that's the power of humility. That's the most important aspect that I've learned from this great man, Eliud.
Indeed, it's something that shined. We did see through that interview as well. And finally, obviously, it might still be very early to discuss this, but from the current crop of elite marathoners, maybe in Kenya, who maybe would you say is up next to take up his mantle in the future?
Well, it's a very hard act to follow. It's a very tough question because looking across the world, first of all, of course, Kenenisa Bekele is somebody who can come close to Eliud. You know, he was just a few seconds shy of the world record in Berlin this year. That shows that he can actually push Eliud to the limit. But talking about Kenya, perhaps Geoffrey Kamworor, the world half marathon record holder, they run in the same stable of you know, global sports athletics. So Geoffrey has learned the ethos that you know, make Eliud a great person. And the second man is really somebody people don't know very much. Titus Ekiru. Titus has broken 4 course records in Milan, in you know, Honolulu, in Sevilla. He's a 27-year-old, not known very much, but next year he runs his first major in Tokyo on March 1st. He's a very powerful front-running athlete, and I think he has what it takes to get close to Eliud, if not match his performances.
All right, Elias, thank you very much for joining us on Spotlight, sports managing editor with the Nation Media Group, Elias Makori, speaking to us live on Spotlight. Well, we're taking another short break. Here's what's coming up. We'll tell you about the flag football team in Abuja aiming to change the perceptions of people and help make the sport popular in Nigeria. Welcome back. Now, flag football, a version of American football, is a relatively unknown sport in soccer-mad Nigeria. Very few people have ever heard of the sport, and even fewer have played or even understand its rules. But one young flag football team in Abuja is aiming to change that and help make the sport popular. With their story, here is CGTN's Deji Badmus.
It's not a common sight in Nigeria. This is one sport that would not even make the top 10 of sporting activities in a country where football is king. But despite not being popular, these players are passionate about their sport and are determined to get flag football become a national sport in the country. Gradually, their number is growing.
I think when you love something so much, you find others who love the same thing as well, right? So when we started this back in August 2018, it was just Ahmed Babani and I. We just came out and we said, let's just start this. First day we started there, our friend Musti came and joined us. And then he invited his friends, and then we got some others that love the game too, and they invited their friends. And that's how we're getting a lot of people to come out and play. And anybody who comes in and plays with us, they end up falling in love with the game because of how much fun we have on the field.
Their number has now grown to a level where they're already contemplating forming their own league.
We have the number to make 4 teams, but we're not really prepared for that yet because we don't have maximum capacity for these 4 teams yet. So once we get that, then we'll be able to launch our league.
One of the reasons why people are showing interest in flag football is because it is less riskier than American football. With flag football, instead of tackling players to the ground, the defensive team must remove a flag or flag belt from the ball carrier, and contact is not permitted between players. It's a sport that has appealed to the only female player in the team.
It's the kind of game that other ladies should get involved in because we need more ladies to bring out the beauty of this game. I mean, just like the basketball, the football, we should also have more ladies in this.
This is a co-ed game rather than an all-boys game. American football is an all-boys game normally, but this is co-ed. We play with females and kids, and we join together and have fun. And there's no physical contact that goes on in the game, but rather removal of the flags. The projection right now is for us to start our league officially. Start it out with the teams and everything and the sponsorships. But that's going to take a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work because up till this moment, the team is self-funded. And without the recognition and wide acceptance of their sport, sponsorship might be difficult to come by.
Right now, I think we have come to a great level by ourselves. And I think we will even do more as we are right now. But of course, with a little endorsement from somebody, it would be a great chance for us, an opportunity for us to explode as a league. And as we explode, I think it would be a great opportunity for our nation also because, it shows diversity.
Their sport may not be popular in Nigeria for now. These players are optimistic their time will eventually come. For now, they're just enjoying the fun of playing the game. Deji Badmus, CGTN, Abuja, Nigeria.
Now, over in Ghana, basketball is fast gaining popularity. However, unlike football, the sport still lacks proper funding, and enthusiasts in the country now say that given the necessary investment and attention, the West African country could unearth many talented players. CGTN's Nabil Ahmed Rufai reports from Accra.
Perfecting his dribbling skills, Joshua Clottey wants to become an NBA superstar.
I watch basketball NBA and I see how LeBron James is succeeding in basketball, and I also want to be like them.
Basketball is a sport popular among high school students in Ghana. Unlike Joshua Clottey, who has big career ambitions for the sport, others engage in it as a form of recreation.
Basketball is a game I love because it teaches us life skills. It teaches us about hard work. It teaches us about teamwork.
Despite the high interest in the sport in schools, it lacks proper funding from the government. Training sessions are done in courts that have poor infrastructure.
For most of these players, their first exposure to basketball was at high school. The lack of proper infrastructure and investment in the sport means the talents discovered at this level goes unnoticed.
Some coaches say these players could be developed for Ghana's national basketball team.
I think it's a very good platform for coaches in the universities, for instance, and the tertiary institutions to come and then pick talents. They should make sure that they get these young ones and form a formidable team for the state.
Ghana's national basketball team has never qualified to international competitions such as the FIBA Africa and World Championships. Some analysts say it's because of lack of quality players and infrastructure to develop the sports, especially at the high school level.
But the country needs one huge auditorium which can host an NBA game, for instance. We can host an international competition. But we just hope that the government will respond in a quick fashion so that these talents that go through the high school, junior high school, and university don't just go waste and get frustrated with the sport and give up.
Last year, the government announced plans to construct multi-purpose sports centers, including basketball courts, in 6 garrisons of the armed forces to develop the sports. Until that happens, Joshua Clottey says he is keeping his eyes on his goals and will not stop till he succeeds. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
And that's all for this edition of Sports Scene. Do remember to send your feedback to the contacts on your screen now. And why not give us a follow on our digital media platforms. I'm Mahia Mutua. Thanks for watching. We leave you with our sports moment of the week, where Eritrea eliminated Kenya in the semi-finals of the Sekafa tournament currently ongoing in Uganda. The Minnows beat the 7-time champions 4-1 with some 2 beautiful goals. The highlights of the entire tournament so far.
Solomon sasa, Solomon! Lo! Hawezi kuamini! Je, macho yako yanaona kama mimi? Ndani ya moyo. Ule mtima wa Odhiambo una Michael Habde. Mike ananyunyiza ndani huku.